Deep in an isolated Brazilian forest, two men were discovered wearing something strange. Thick lead masks covering their eyes. But who were they, and how did they end up dead among the trees in such an odd scene? Their story is one of mystery that still baffles everyone to this day. Keep on watching to discover the most horrific and disturbing truths of this famous case. It was a sunny afternoon on August 20th, 1966, in Niterói, Brazil. A young boy was flying his kite on a hill overlooking the city called Morro do Vintém when he noticed something strange in the trees below. At first, he wasn't sure what it was, but as he got closer, he made out two shapes lying motionless on the ground. Curious, he climbed down for a better look, and that's when he realized with horror that these were human bodies. Too scared to investigate further, he rushed to notify the authorities. When the police arrived later that day, they were unprepared for the disturbing scene. Flashing their torches through the dense foliage, two well-dressed male bodies came into view, lying side by side. But this is where things got extremely bizarre. Each body wore a formal suit, a lead eye mask, and a waterproof coat. There were no obvious signs of a struggle or injuries on the corpses. Nearby was an empty water bottle, two wet towels folded neatly, and a cryptic notebook with instructions written inside. The notebook sent chills down the spines of the officers reading it aloud. 1630 be at the specified location. 1830 ingest capsules. After the effect, protect metals await signal mask. What on earth could this mean? And who were these mysterious mask-clad men? An investigation was launched to identify the bodies and try to piece together their final movements. Through dental records and fingerprints, they were identified as Miguel José Viana and Manoel Pereira de Cruz, two electronic technicians from a town over 100 kilometers away. Witnesses placed the men boarding a bus from their hometown on the morning of August 17th, saying they needed supplies for work. They were seen arriving in Niterói around 2:30 p.m. that day. A shopkeeper recalled selling the unusual pair of waterproof coats, and a waitress at a nearby bar described Miguel as acting extremely nervous, constantly checking his watch. Those were the last confirmed sightings of the men alive. But how did they end up dead in the woods 2 days later, masked and coated in an obviously staged scene? The autopsy provided no clear answers either. There were no signs of violence, poisoning, or illness found on the decomposing bodies. Toxicology tests were never conducted due to the delay in performing the examination. This left investigators with far more questions than answers. One theory centered around accounts from a friend of the victims, who claimed they were part of a group that experimented with psychedelic drugs and spiritualism. Allegedly, they attempted to make contact with aliens or spirits by ingesting substances in a trance-like state. Believing the encounters would involve blinding flashes of light, they fashioned makeshift lead masks as crude eye protectors. Could the men have accidentally overdosed while undergoing this ritual deep in the forest? Searching the victims' homes seemed to corroborate this strange story. Blueprints and materials for mask construction were found, along with literature on occult topics like astral projection and metaphysics. But if drugs were really involved, what exactly were in the mysterious capsules they ingested, and why were their organs too decomposed for analysis? The puzzling details refuse to add up to a clear-cut explanation. Two engineers with a secret interest in the paranormal go missing, only to turn up days later wearing bizarre homemade masks in the middle of nowhere. It sounds like the plot of some creepy movie, not a real case. But we assure you this all actually happened, and the mystery endures to this day. Over 50 years later, authorities still have no concrete answers about what led to these men's deaths or what exactly they were doing out in those remote woods. Let's break down some of the most compelling evidence and theories proposed over the decades to try and unravel this. First, those masks were no superficial Halloween props. They were thick slabs of pure lead weighing over 2 kilograms each, carefully molded to fit each face snugly. Lead is an extremely toxic heavy metal that can cause issues even with small exposures, so wearing these hefty masks for any length of time would likely have health consequences. Combining that with inhaling psychedelic fumes could easily have proved fatal. As for the strange scene they were discovered in, many argue it was purposefully staged to resemble some kind of ceremonial setup. Their bodies lay dressed in thick protective gear, masks positioned neatly, as if awaiting the start of a ritual. Even the cryptic notebook instructions seem to imply a meticulously planned event. Could members of their group have staged it this way after the men unexpectedly died during the proceedings? It would explain the utterly bizarre spectacle left for authorities to puzzle over. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue the whole occult explanation is a nonsense story fabricated to distract from more plausible criminal theories. For instance, foul play like a robbery gone wrong or a drug deal gone awry. However, nothing was ever stolen from the men, and toxicology could have disproven poisoning. There were no obvious signs of violence either. An accidental overdose also seems unlikely, given how controlled the setup appeared. But without test results, ruling out toxic causes cannot be done definitively. The sheer remoteness of where they were found feeding the abduction/UFO crowd as well. The fact that the notebook specifically instructs them to await the signal mask has fueled theories they were attempting to summon or communicate with extraterrestrials. While an attention-grabbing concept, concrete proof is sorely missing for these wildest speculations. Ultimately, we simply have more questions than answers in unlocking the fate of the enigmatic lead mask pair. To this day, the mysterious deaths of Miguel José Viana and Manoel Pereira de Cruz remains an unsolved case. With no resolution after over half a century, it has taken on an almost mythic status in Brazil. Some see it as a frightening cautionary tale of the dangers of messing with powerful forces beyond human comprehension. Others remain convinced there are still missing clues or unturned rocks that could provide the break needed to finally explain what really happened in those woods that strange August day. Perhaps one day, new evidence or advanced technology may allow investigators to re-examine old evidence and get closer to solving one of Brazil's strangest and most bizarre cold cases. Until then, the enigma of the lead mask duo continues to spark debate and intrigue among true crime enthusiasts around the world. Two men embark on an odd journey, gather strange equipment like lid masks and waterproofs, and write cryptic plans involving capsules and signals, only to be found dead in a staged tableau in an isolated forest clearing. An autopsy yields no clues, and half a century later, authorities are still baffled by the full sequence of events. With so many pieces stubbornly refusing to fit together, this case will remain one of Brazil's most mysterious unsolved puzzles for decades. What do you think really happened to the men that fateful summer day in 1966? Join the discussion and share your theories in the comments section below. Thanks for tuning into today's frankly bizarre video. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more uncovered mysteries, and we'll see you all next time.